USCHO.com. This is the USCHO Spotlight, a weekly podcast from U.S. College Hockey Online at USCHO.com, featuring conversations with college hockey coaches and players and journalists who cover the sport.
Welcome to the USCHO Spotlight Podcast. I'm Ed Trefzger alongside Jim Connelly. This episode sponsored by the NCAA Frozen Four, April 11th and 13th at KeyBank Center in Buffalo, New York. In less than 10 years, College Hockey Inc. has helped make a big impact on NCAA Division I men's college hockey through marketing and informational efforts, also trying to help young players learn about going the college route for development.
And we are joined now by a good friend of the podcast, a good friend of college hockey. That's Nate Ewell from College Hockey Inc. Nate, welcome. Thanks for taking the time to join us. And what a great time for college hockey as we hit the new year here. A lot going on.
My pleasure. No kidding, Jim. What a fun day, fun weekend with World Juniors and the outdoor game in Notre Dame, and just so much going on. Holiday tournaments and everything. It's a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
It is indeed a fun time. And you talked about World Juniors. We'll start there. The U.S., a tough loss in the gold medal game to Finland. But if I read your notes right, I think it was 20 collegiate players or 18 collegiate players playing in that game. All medalists, a couple of them taking home the gold for Finland. That's a really good staple. I know this tournament has grown in popularity over time, but the college participation, not just for the U.S. or Canada, internationally has really grown, and that's something, a feather in the cap for college hockey.
Yeah, it really is. It's a great showcase, excuse me, for college players and even the U.S. I mean, 18 players on the U.S. team and one recruit with Spencer Knight. That's nearly a high, an all-time high. We had 20 a couple years ago when the U.S. won gold. But then you, as you say, you mix in the other teams, and we had a couple of college players on Canada and even the Finnish captain, which none of us can recall a time that an NCAA player was a captain of a European team. So credit to them, credit to college hockey and the players that our coaches are attracting and developing on their campuses.
This is obviously an event that has grown in many different ways. And, you look at in Canada and they say it was the big fight with Russia back in the late 70s that made it a popular thing. Here in the U.S., I think it's the NHL network and the ability for fans to actually see these games live. But it has taken off, and we see the great crowds in Canada this weekend. The U.S., I think, when they've done it in Buffalo, has done a good job of attracting some decent crowds. Where do you see this tournament growing in this country, in the United States, and in terms of how it can help what you do at College Hockey Inc.? How can this tournament really be the building block for some of what you do?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head with the NHL Network. That's been really the key to be able to put these games in front of people and be able to see the talent level, especially NHL fans who are accustomed to going to that network. I know you guys had Dave Starman on. He does such a great job with this tournament, not just with that, but with our college games, obviously, once the CBS schedule gets going. But I really think that makes the biggest difference. And you think about what we do at College Hockey Inc., trying to promote college hockey, and USA Hockey gives us those commercial spots during these games. That's what we hear most when we talk to people. They'll say, "Oh yeah, we know College Hockey Inc. You guys have the World Junior commercials," and it just shows how much impact that this tournament has. I mean, this has people locked in this little time period here after Christmas that hockey fans are all tuned in. I talked to my Pee Wee team that I coach, and those kids are all excited about it. So you really see the impact, I think, at multiple age levels, multiple different types of fans. It's obviously a lot of fun for us diehard college fans because there's so many familiar names, but for a lot of people, they're learning these kids now at this level, and they'll follow them along till they make it to the NHL.
You just kind of hit on something in terms of exposing college hockey, and it's television that really drives it, especially on the other side of the Canadian border. And what the leagues in College Hockey Inc. has been able to work out with TSN seems to have really taken off. The amount of college games that are shown in Canada on the main TSN networks or on their online platform, that seems to really be working well for the colleges in terms of driving that exposure above the border.
It really has, and I will say, NHL Network covers the U.S., so that we hear that all the time when we go and travel in Canada. They often say, "Yeah, well, we know college hockey because we saw it on TSN," and for people who don't have the opportunity like we do to get into rinks on the weekends and see what it's like, getting to see it on TV is the best that they can do, and it will open their eyes to just how great college hockey is. So it's been a great partnership. I think we're in 4 or 5 years now with TSN showing games. It's meant a lot to have the help of the schools and the conferences making those games available to TSN to pick up. And then the improvement in streaming has really helped too, because now they're not just limited to what they can fit on TSN and TSN2. They can stream games and make it available to fans who want to seek them out. So there really is there's a great number of games that we can put up there and make available for Canadian fans to see.
We're talking with Nate Ewell from College Hockey Inc. Certainly one of the big messages that you're trying to get across to young players with this exposure is player development. Player development in USA hockey at the youth level has really helped the college game. But for somebody looking to take their game to the next level and have a pro career, what's the case that college hockey makes in the player development side of things?
I think the biggest thing that people are learning about player development is how important time is. And it's everything from the amount of time you have to develop, which college gives you because you can stay in college till you're 22, 23, 24, depending on how old you are when you enroll. But it's also the time that you have to develop during the week and the practice to game ratio. And these are things that are becoming bigger buzzwords through the sport as we learn more about long-term athlete development. The ADM is really in line with everything that college preaches in terms of practicing more than playing games and things like that. That's where people get better. And I always say, I play in a men's league and we don't practice, but we're also not getting any better. You can tell that.
No surprise there.
I can promise you that. If we wanted to get better, if I had aspirations of playing better than this men's league, I would practice more, because that's where you improve. And then you get to show that improvement off in games. For an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid, you should be practicing more than you're playing, because that's how you're going to improve and be able to then advance and play at a higher level.
And certainly strength and conditioning. And you look at the high level of training that the players get off the ice, and even now some of the electronics monitoring heartbeats during games and so forth. There's a real opportunity for players to get a lot stronger during that career too.
That's a great point, Ed. And that's probably the number one thing you hear if you talk to NHL players who took the college path, is that they went in as kids and came out as men and felt like they could compete in a man's game because they got bigger, stronger, faster, and were able to take advantage of that time to be in the weight room, to work out off the ice, to make sure that they're getting better in all facets, not just what happens on the ice. So that's really a huge factor.
When College Hockey Inc. got started back about a decade ago now, I guess, one of the things that seemed to be a big focus was trying to elevate the popularity or the name or publicity for the really prominent hockey schools. But it seems like the college hockey landscape over that time has changed quite a bit, where you've got 60 schools that are all fairly prominent because the game has gotten so good. So I guess my question is, has your mission on the PR and publicity side changed from even before you were involved with College Hockey Inc. till now? Or even just how has your mission evolved over the course of these past several years?
Well, I think, to your point, one of the ways our game has evolved is that the parity has grown, and you've seen it with the number of teams that have made the tournament. You've seen it with the number of teams that have won the tournament, and I think part of promoting is promoting the best of your game. I think that's one of the best things about our game, is the parity and the fact that there are 60 teams out there that can win and can win every night. One of the things that we know is that there are more good players than we can fit on these 60 rosters. And we'd love to be able to grow the sport, but right now we've got 60 teams to fill, and that's where we're at. The result of that is there's really, really good players on roster 1 and roster 60 and everywhere in between. So that makes for really competitive hockey. I think it's an easy thing to promote that every game's going to be a battle and any team can win, and there's going to be turnover in the teams that make the tournament every year. There's going to be upstart teams like UMass this year, like maybe Ohio State last year. There's teams that are going to come out of the woodwork and surprise people. I think that's a great quality of college hockey, and it's been a big point of emphasis for us as we talk about the game on the national level.
Let's pause for a moment for a word from the NCAA Frozen Four, April 11th and 13th at KeyBank Center in Buffalo.
Speed and precision, unrelenting power. This trophy is not given, it must be earned. The 2019 NCAA Frozen Four, April 11th and 13th at KeyBank Center in Buffalo.
With a shot. Saved by Morris. Takes the shot. Retired!
Visit ncaa.com/Frozen4 and get your tickets today.
Nate, I'll throw a stat at you here from 1994 to 2010. I'm sure you know exactly where I'm going here. There wasn't a new national champion. Every team that won had already won the title. Then Minnesota Duluth wins it in 2011. Then you get Yale, Union, Providence all win their first national title. I've watched a lot of Twitter posts and social media posts that you've put up about this year's poll and the fact that there's so many teams in the top 10 that have never won a national title. We feel like we're going through this era where there's new teams, new blood. Was this a great injection when you really look at it for college hockey? The fact that it isn't only Michigan, Minnesota, Boston College, Boston University, North Dakota, Denver winning everything.
I think it's a great thing. I think you look at the success of the NFL, and they're a big part of that is that every team feeling like they can win. I think every campus feels like they can win now. And the corollary to that is every campus that's considering college hockey is looking at it and saying, hey, we could do this and win. And that's pretty important. I mean, I think more important as people look at growing the sport is finances and Title IX and things like that. But it's certainly appealing to look at what Penn State and Arizona State have done and say, yeah, we could do that too.
You bring up Arizona State. We had talked on an earlier podcast this week. There's only 10 games to go for them. I know 8 of them on the road, but this is a team that's sitting 10th in the pairwise when nobody even thought that they would be a 500 team. This is probably there's a lot of feel-good stories this year, but this is maybe the feel-good story of college hockey for 2019.
I think it could be, yeah, and it's going to be fascinating to watch. And we're all used to huddling around the computer and refreshing USCHO on that championship weekend and seeing where things move. We're going to be watching a team that's not playing and seeing where they fall, and what has to happen for Arizona State. Where do they end up, and who has to win? I think it's going to be really fascinating to watch.
When you're talking about Arizona State, you mentioned Penn State. Those are obviously two teams that were recently added to Division I hockey. What can you tell us about the future of other teams, maybe even other conferences? I've talked to so many people that believe that UNLV could be a potential team, that the Pac-12 conference could be a reality in 10 to 15 years. Do you feel that these are realities or just good pipe dreams that are maybe stirring up some great story ideas?
I think there's momentum in that direction, and a lot of things have to go right, and both Penn State and Arizona State are examples of that, where a lot of things had to go right in order for those things to come together. And Arizona State, in reality, as good as their team is, it's still a work in progress because the arena is going to be built and they'll continue to get better. What's different now, and we've had these conversations, you should go back to 94, like you said, and say, we always said, what would happen if, and maybe Penn State someday would do this. What's different now is you have my boss, Mike Snee, and the NHL and NHLPA working actively to try and identify these next potential schools. And a lot of credit, I think, needs to go to Mike, needs to go to Kevin Westgarth at the NHL, the former Princeton player who's been really instrumental in leading this initiative And the NHL funding these feasibility studies at least opens the door to these schools to consider it. And we have, as we've said, a great story to tell to schools that might want to consider it. So once you get that door open, you can really pique some interest based on the landscape of college hockey right now.
And just so we're up to speed on the numbers, it's about a third of the NHL's gone through college now?
Correct. Yeah. 275 players who have been in the NHL as of last night have come through the college ranks, and that's almost 33%. It may get up there by the end of the year as we have guys, not to look too far into the future, but I don't think Quinn Hughes and Kel McCarr are along for the college campuses. I think guys like that might be finding their way in that.
I think their coaches are realistic too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope so.
What a pioneer Red Berenson was all those years ago, huh?
Oh, amazing to think, and what a great fitting tribute from the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame this year for him.
One thing we do want to make sure we mention every week, you and Brad Schlossman from the Grand Forks Herald put out a podcast, College Hockey Today, and we really want to encourage people to listen. If you subscribe to that and some of the other ones out there, you can fill your week with good college hockey stuff, and certainly it's always fun to listen to you and Brad.
Yeah, and when I started to do that, I know you guys had USCHO Live, and Bernie Corbett has done the Hockey on Campus on satellite radio for a while, but there was a dearth really of hockey podcasts out there, college hockey podcasts. So Brad and I kind of did that to fill a void. Now there's a lot, and I can fill my Friday, whether I'm sitting in the office or driving to a game, there's tons of stuff to listen to preview games. And I love what you guys have done this year in terms of the number of podcasts you put out and the amount of ground that you cover. So it's really a great medium, and it's been a great medium for college hockey.
Well, Nate Ewell, the deputy director of College Hockey Inc., we appreciate your time. We'll check back in with you at the Frozen Four. It's one of our favorite sit-downs of the year. We haven't figured out our location yet, but we do look forward to talking with you once again. But thanks for your time here this week, and enjoy the second half of the season. It looks like it's going to be a fun roller coaster ride. Yeah, it sure will. And I always look forward to catching up with you guys in person, and I'm sure I'll see you around the rinks before then. Jim, it's always great to catch up with Nate Ewell, and I love the mission and the activity and the progress College Hockey Inc. has made for the sport. They certainly have, and he's been a great driving force along with Mike Snee. And we've all known Nate for so long. He had his roots in the SID world, and then obviously helped run a great website, Inside College Hockey, for so long. And to have him as a champion for college hockey is a very good thing, because he understands what goes into this sport, the personalities, the passion and the commitment, all of those types of things. And I think what he does for the sport is such a great promotional tool. And it really, you look at everything that College Hockey Inc. has done in this game, what has happened in the last 10 years in terms of growing this game, in terms of increasing the parity in this game, really is paramount. It means so much to college hockey. And it's so many key gears working together. College Hockey Inc., the NHL Players Association, and the NHL getting involved. The NCAA and how they are working. USA Hockey and the player development model. All these key pieces coming together to really make the college hockey game so much better than it ever has been. Yeah, you and I have been around this game for the good part of 3 decades, maybe even a little more, I think, in your case. And we didn't see that for so long. It used to be kind of a silo system where everybody kind of marched their own path and they had their own mission. And now to have College Hockey Inc. kind of as that glue that brings everything together, especially the NHL and the NHLPA, because I think the inability of college hockey to work with them for so long, or really not having that really the good conduit relationship. Now they have that, and I think that has strengthened the game at the college level to help develop great players. And as you mentioned during the podcast, 33% of the NHL now coming through college hockey. That's a really great milestone, and you could almost point and really define a lot of this because of what College Hockey Inc. and their mission has accomplished. Well, that's going to do it for this week's USCHO.com Spotlight podcast. For Jim Connelly, I'm Ed Trefzger, and we'll catch you next time.
This has been the USCHO Spotlight, a production of U.S. College Hockey Online. Visit uscho.com/podcasts to listen or subscribe.